13th of September, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Hey, we are ready to go. So right in the middle of this Bryce over here. And just to recap what we did so far over here, the Gemora is going to analyze this din of the chametz that the Goslin stole, and then Pesach came along, and then he goes and then it makes the chametz asur b'hana, cannot derive any benefit from it. So the Mishnah says that nevertheless the Goslin can now return this useless, worthless chametz to the original owner and say, here is the chametz that I stole from you. I am making hashava. I'm returning it to you. So now Mantana. Oh, by the way, where are we? We are on page 98b, and we are we're right at the two dots. First word, it's about 10 lines down from the top of where the wide lines get wide, as wide lines will do. And the first word in the line is lefanecha. That was what it said in the Mishnah. And now the Gemara wants to know, after the two dots, man Tana. Who is the Tana of this Mishnah that holds like this, that the Goslin can back this worthless chametz? Okay, so let's go from there. Let's go from there. We'll go through it. Yeah. Okay. We'd like to call upon Roy to start the reading for us today.
My Tana Almarin Bisuri Hana Hare Shelcha Bifanecha. Who is the Tana that taught that we say with respect to articles that are for benefit, behold, what is yours is before you. Omar Rav Chisda, Rav Yaakov V. Rav Chisda said it's a Mishnah authored by Rav Yaakov. The Tanya, for we learned in a Baraisa, Shamis, in the case of an ox that killed a person, Ad Shalal Nigama Dina, before its guilty verdict was reached, Mivara Mechor, if his owner sold it, it is sold. Hikri Shur Mukdosh, if he consecrated it, it is consecrated. Shechata Besara Mutor, if he slaughtered it, its meat is permitted. Chayazira Shomeh Livelov Mutor, if the custodian returned it to its owner, it is deemed returned. Mishenegma Dina, after its guilty verdict was reached, however, Mechoro Ono Aino Muchor, if its owner sold it, it is not sold. Yisor Ono Mukdosh, if he consecrated it, it is not consecrated. Shechata B'Sara Asur, if he slaughtered it, its meat is prohibited. Echezira Shomer Livalov, Aina mukhsar. If the custodian returned it to its owner, it is not deemed returned. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, Af Mishenigma Dina. Even after a guilty verdict was reached, Echazira Shomer Liva Alav Mukhzar. If the custodian returned it to its owner, it is deemed returned. May Lav Bahar Kamid Pil Day. Now, is it not that they argue about this following point? To Ravi Yaakov Savara Amarin B'Surei Hanoah Harei Shelcha Lifanecha. Namely, that holds that we say with respect to things forbidden for benefit, behold, what is yours is before you. Rabbanan Savari Ain Amarin Besurei Hanaa Harai Shelcha Lifanecha. Whereas the rabbis hold that we do not say with respect to things forbidden for benefit, behold, what is yours is before you.
Okay. So just in a nutshell, what the Gemora has done is brought a brisa about a shor niskal, and it's making a comparison between the shor niskal and the chametz that the Goslin stole. What's the comparison? Because in the case that the shore was under the watchful eye, or maybe we should say the not so watchful eye of its watchmen, and therefore it got out and killed a person. So in that case, before the verdict has been reached in the Bezdin, declaring this shore to be a shor niskal, that it's due to be executed. Before that verdict has been reached, the Brisa tells us that the shomer can return this animal to its owner, and it's regarded as a valid return of the animal, and he doesn't have to pay him any money. He returned the animal. And even though the shore is due to be executed, but that's not. In other words, it's due to be a totally worthless animal. But right now, before the verdict, it's not a totally worthless animal. He could return it. But the Brisa says after the Misha Nigmardino, after the Bezdin has pronounced the verdict on this shore, that they have found this shore guilty of murder, and now it's due to be executed. It's a shor niskal. Now the din of a shor niskal is that it is aser b'hana. So that's the comparable case to the chametz. The chametz, the Goslin stole it on Erev Pesach when it was still worth something. But then when Pesach came along, now it's no longer worth anything. It's aser b'hana. And now return it. So in this case too, the shomer over here, we say that, but if the shomer in other words, the animal killed, and while he was under the watch of the shomer, and then the Beis Din already paskined the case that he's a shor niskal, and then only after that, now the animal is asur b'hana as a shor niskal, and now only at that point the shomer makes a return of the animal and says, "Here's your animal." So in that case, the Brisa says, "Eino muksar." That's not a good return. He's not going to be able to get off the shomer with that type of a return of an animal that's a shor niskal, because he was not given a shor niskal, and so therefore he's going to have to pay for the animal now, because he's not returning an animal that is the same animal that he was given to watch. That's according to the Tanakama of the Brisa. But according to Rabbi Yaakov says, even after the animal has been pronounced a shor niskal and he is totally asur b'hana, he's worthless, he's due to be executed. Even at that point, says Rabbi Yaakov, shomer lebalov muksar. Even if he's going to make a return of that animal to the owner, at that point, when the animal's a shor niskal, it's also regarded as a valid return of the animal, and he'll be absolved of his obligation to return anything else to the owner of the animal. So that sounds to the Gemora like Rabbi Yaakov is the one that says that you could return this chametz that became worthless. So that's what the Gemora says here. My love, b'hakam ifligi. Isn't this the machlokes in the brisa between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yaakov? That Rabbi Yaakov says you could something which is worthless because it's asur b'hana. Nevertheless, you could return it and say, "Here it is." But the Rabbanan say, "No, you cannot say that." Okay. Do we have any Rashi?
I think there.
Yeah. It all starts with shor chamit.
Shor shehemis, yeah.
Hemis, the ox that kills somebody. Etadami kills a person. Umochro, and the soul ad shelo nigmardino, until the din was completed. He was sold in that interim before the din was handed down. Mochar is sold below Yisakal. He wasn't stoned. The Be'inin Mita, because it really needs a death of that. I met it the din, and it's standing, and it's waiting in judgment. Jehiyah, that it would be shavin, equal, achad, like one. The perik shor shenegach dal v'hei. The perik about the ox that gores 4 and 4 or 5.
Right. So over here, Rashi has an interesting din. He says that based upon this Gemora that he refers us to in Shoshan Nogach Dalav Nehei, that's the name of the parak. It's an earlier parak in our Masechta of Akama, and the Bach told us it's on Daf Mem Daled. So Rashi says that there's a din over there that the shor nisko is the verdict can be pronounced that he's a shor nisko only in the event that the misa and the madaba din are shavin ke'echad. Now that they're equal as one. Now what does it mean that the misa and the madaba din are equal as one? So what it means is that the misa means when the who was the there's in other words there's 2 time periods over here that the Gemara is comparing over here. There's the time of misa, meaning the time that the animal killed the person, and then there's the time of amad bedin, when the verdict is to be pronounced on the animal. those two times have to be shavin ke'echad. They have to be equal as one, which Rashi over there says that what that means is he's got to be owned by the same bailim. The same owner has to own the animal at those two time junctures in the case, and if not, therefore Rashi says we can't pronounce a din of skila on the animal. That's what Rashi's saying over here, and it seems to be connected to the fact that the sale is a sale, because in the event that that this wouldn't be so, the sale would not be a sale. Okay, and we go to the next. Okay, that's the first din that the Brisa talks about. That if the owner of the animal sold that animal during the court case, sounds like it's a good idea for him to do that, right? If he wants to try to get something out of this animal, if he sells it, the sale is a sale. What does it mean? It's a sale. It means that the buyer has to go through with the sale. He has to give the money for the animal, and it's a valid sale until the animal is taken to be stoned, to be executed.
But isn't there a question? I mean, yeah, he hasn't been, you haven't gotten the verdict yet. But isn't this like a mechach told? Wouldn't if he didn't know that this was happening, that I'm going to lose this ox later on? What could he do with it in that quick amount of time? It's like it's like a fire sale on something, like a clearance thing, and then don't you know? 2 seconds later, then the court's going to come rule him. Now this guy had bought a worthless item, but he didn't know. Shouldn't it be? There's some concept of that in there.
Well, you're asking that it should not be a sale.
It should be. He should be. I guess it could be a sale, but he can give it back once he finds out. Once the dean comes in, then he should be able to return it as a mechach tov, or something like that. You sold it to me under false pretenses.
Oh, so you're assuming that the buyer didn't know about this at all. That's the whole reason that he bought it.
Well, would you buy it if you did that? I mean, the only advantage you have on it is if you can really, within that short amount of time, he was planning on shechting it and eating it and stuff like that before something happens to it. That I bought it for the meat, and now I got it. I beat the judgment on it. Maybe I got a reduced price. It's kind of like buying stolen goods. That type of thing.
Well, so as you say, until they actually do. See, in other words, the sale was reached. Right. Let's put it in time frame. The sale was done on Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the execution took place. They announced the verdict on the animal. Let's say 2 weeks later, and they executed him sometime after that. So not too much after that. So in other words, what did he have over here? The one who bought this animal, he's got the use of this animal for 2 weeks. So could he come and say, look, I didn't realize that I'm only going to have use of this animal for 2 weeks. It's not fair. It's a mechach tos. I thought I had this animal I told the guy I wanted to plow with the animal. So no, I thought maybe you wanted to buy it for meat, you know. So that's, you see over here, the Meiri says that the Lokeach, the buyer has to tender the agreed upon price. Oh, 1 second. He says, interesting. He says that what? The Mechira is how the sale is effective. And the Meiri says, Sarich l'shalom alokeach lebalov demeya harisha shecharash imo ad shenizkal. He has to, according to Meiri, he has to pay the lokeach. How much does he got to pay? He says he should pay the demeya harisha, the value of the plowing that he got out of the animal for the 2 weeks that he had the animal before the animal was executed. So it seems like the Meiri would be agreeing to you that he's not going to pay any more than the value that he got, even if the actual price of the animal, the agreed upon price, may have been different. So that's okay. So that's an interesting case. All right. Okay. So that's what the Gemara wants to suggest over here. That we see from this brisa that we have a machlokes whether you could make whether you could return whether the shomer can return this animal and say here's your animal, even though he made the return after the animal was already pronounced a shor niskal. The Chachamim say he may not make a return like that, and Rabbi Yaakov says he may. And so let's say that's the machlokes. That's the machlokes in the case of the chametz too. And the Mishnah that says you could do that goes only according to Rabbi Yehuda. I'm not Rabbi Yehuda. I'm sorry, Rabbi Yaakov, but not like the Chachamim. So the Mishnah would be going not like the Chachamim. So that's a very strange Mishnah that it doesn't say anything about the fact that it's a minority opinion. It just says the opinion like back of hand, like it's the accepted opinion, and really it's the minority opinion of Rabbi Yaakov. Okay. And so now we go back to there's actually another 2-word Rashi. Hexiro shomer lebalav muchzar.
Yeah, well, he returns the zero shomer. That's the guard, the watcher. Is the shomer? That's what it is.
Yeah, he was watching the animal when it went out and killed. I guess he wasn't watching him too much. He was supposed to be watching him.
Okay, it's upater a shomer, and then the shomer will become pater once he returns it.
Yeah, he can return it. Even he can return it. Now that Rashi, I believe, is talking about the ratio of the brisa. That means that before the animal got the verdict on it. Okay. So now let's read the Gemora's answer. The Gemora responds to this ma'alav. Now, as you know, basically every time the Gemora says ma'alav, the Gemora rejects it and says no, it's not so. It's not necessarily so. So let's see how the Gemora explains that it's not necessarily so. And for that we go to Lu to continue the reading. Amar le Rabba. Luke, can you unmute?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Amar le Rabba. Rabba said to Rav Chisda, "Lo, no. the kule alma, amrinan, de isure hana'a, hare shelcha lefenecha. That everyone says regarding something that is forbidden for benefit, behold what is before you. Everybody agrees to that. De'im kain nif legu b'chametz b'pesach. For if so, let them dispute with respect to chametz on Pesach. So in other words, because they don't dispute chametz and Pesach, it must be that they agree.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like what the Gemara is saying. We have to say this to im Cain, because if it would be so, meaning if it would be so, as you say, that they're arguing about this matter, Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi and the Chachamim, if they're arguing about this matter, so then niflagu chametz b'Pesach. Why don't they also argue about chametz b'Pesach? Why are they only arguing about this crazy case of Ashur Niskal? Don't they have anything better to argue about than the case of the Shgal? What about other cases such as chametz on Pesach? Why? How come they didn't argue on that case? So the Gemara, in other words, the Gemara Rabbah is saying that no, really, both of them, both Rabbi Yaakov and the Rabbanan, they subscribe to the din in the Mishnah that says that the Goslin can give back the chametz, and this that we see in the Brisa, that they're arguing about the case of the Shor Niskal. So Rabbah says, yeah, they argue about Shor Niskal, but that is apparently not because of not because of what the Gemara attributes it to, that the Rabbanan hold that you can't that the Goslin can't say here's your chametz, I'm giving it back to you, just like he cannot say, according to Rabbanan, here's your shor niskal, I'm giving it back to you.
Yeah.
And here we've got a long sheet. It's got a lot of explaining to do over here.
Okay, so
Start with the short Rashi. The Kule Alma Omrim.
Start with the short Rashi. Okay.
Short Rashi, first. Everybody else say that it's forbidden benefit. Masnisen, Mishnah, the chametz and Pesach, Filu, the Rabbanan, even according to the Rabbanan would hold that way.
Yeah.
About chametz and Rabbanan. Now here it says the im kain. If so, here's the one will come up. The Rabbanan, ain't only they don't say ad demafligi that we argue. Be sure in terms of the ox. The gabe shomer regarding to the custodian of it. We go name that we should argue also Lagabe Gezel Chometz about the theft of Chometz, the Avar of Pesach, and now the time of it passed over. And then that's a Bach connection?
What's the Bach say?
Okay, the Bach. What does the Bach do? Divrei Masker, the Im Kain, if so, the Chule, a Pesach, I've got abbreviation here.
Oh, the box
Asaf.
says over
Asaf.
here, after the word hapesach, the box says hasof dibor. The
That's
hey
the
is
end of it.
hasof dibor. That's the end of that comment of Rashi.
Well, Achar Kach, afterwards, there's another abbreviation, something Ella Wahachi.
Maschil hadibor.
The beginning should be
And now we have a beginning of the comment starts with this word. He takes out aval and he puts in ella hacha.
Wahachi. Okay.
Okay, I don't see the big deal about that, but I guess the Bach felt it was necessary to say.
Okay, so instead of okay,
Splitting
so
it into two
about,
things.
Okay, no, but so yeah, he's splitting it from it says avaro al pasuk and pesach past, and Bach is change it to said instead of saying aval hacha, rather here, but ela hacha.
Yeah,
The word ela instead
yeah,
of
that's
aval.
okay. Right.
Okay, so he's saying it's a separate item now.
Yes.
It's not connected to the two things. It's a new item.
Right.
Here, b'shuach shahamit, but in terms of the ox that kills somebody, who the Amar that Havi the Amar that would say, who the one that says, Ein machzir, you don't have to return it. Mishu the Amar because you can say to him, Isar, Hi Isar Hana, that there is a forbidden, it's forbidden to be benefited of, that ox that kills. Lav Isa, it's not an Issa. The Ate Allah that comes on it. The Mila who these words are Kagon Chametz, like Chametz on Pesach. Ella cut wheat, be a dime. It would have to die in his hands, the ox. Sheher, Aveto, when it gets brought to based in.
If I would have been the gabbai,
The Havi Goodbye, Anna Ma'arikna way. I would Marikna, let's like take it from him because it's make him empty it from it.
Arik is like I would have caused him to could cause the animal to flee, to run away. I would have ran away with the animal. I wouldn't have just presented him to the Bezdin and let the Bezdin pronounce a verdict on him of a shor niska. I would have, if I would have been the gabbai, if the animal would have been in my possession.
Yeah, there it is. It says because
Arik no leila agma.
He's going to let him run away to the river. You're going to let him flee. So therefore, he won't be able to kill him because I've now took him away from being killed. Well, the Sefer, the Mishnah, is Vadai Rabbi Yaakov. That definitely is Rabbi Yaakov. The low Rabbanan, not the Rabbanan. The Katani that it taught, Shehaito, that there was Yotzeit, that it went out with Sekel, to be stoned, Omer Lo, Hare Shalach, Lefanecha. He could say to him, take what's yours. Take it back, it's yours.
Okay, so what Rashi seems to be doing over here is the Gemora didn't explain us exactly what's the basis of distinction between these two cases, the case of the chametz and the case of the shore that the guy was watching. But Rashi is saying that the two cases are not comparable. So the first part of the Rashi that the box split into two told us that basically just explaining what the Gemora's question was. The Gemora's question was if it would be the case that the Rabbanan they hold that something which is asur b'hana you can't give back, you can't make shava on. So then that was the Gemora's question. Why let them also have argued in the case of chametz, gezel chametz, v'av pesach. Okay, we got that from the Gemora. Now Rashi's going to go on to explain what's the difference between these two cases. In other words, what's going to be is that we're saying that really the Rabbanan also agree. In principle, the Rabbanan agree that a person could make hashava of the chametz, just like the Mishnah says. The Rabbanan really agree to the case of the Mishnah. They don't argue on the case of the Mishnah that says that the Gazlan can return the chametz after Pesach and say Harei Shachalaf Benecha. So now the question is, so why do the Rabbanan say that the case of Shor Niskal is different? And that's what Rashi is coming to do. He's coming to explain us why the case is different. So Rashi says, yes, it's different. Elahacha here in the case of Shor HaShehemis, who the Amre. That's where the Rabbanan disagree with Rabbi Yaakov. Only in that case, but not in the case of the chametz. They agree with him in the case of the chametz. Ein muksar in the case of the shore, he cannot just go and give back the shore after it's been pronounced to be a shor niskal, after it's now asur b'hana and it's worthless. Why not? Mishum de amar le. Hi iser hana lav iser de asi ale mamela. This iser hana that happened to this animal was not a davar de mamela. It wasn't something that just happened to the animal on its own, like in the case, for example, of chametz, right? Chametz, there's nothing that needs to be done to the chametz in order for the chametz to become asur b'hana. When Pesach comes in, it becomes asur b'hana. There's nothing that anybody could do about it. But in the case over here of the shore, it doesn't happen by itself. And interesting, what Rashi says over here, he doesn't say the guy should have told him, why didn't you watch the shore better? But he says to him, he says that at katalta biyodayim, you killed the animal with your own two hands. Why? Because after the shore, after the whole episode, you willingly brought the shore to the Besdin, and allowed the shore to be judged by the Dayanim to be a shor nisko. And he says, "Dihavi gabai ana." If I would have been the gabai over that shore, what would I have done? This is the owner talking of the animal. I would have, what do they call that? Escaped the long arm of the law. I would have escaped with the animal to a place where they wouldn't know where the animal is. They wouldn't have been able to take the animal and give a judgment on him. So for that reason, Rashi is explaining that's why the Rabbanan say that in this case, the shomer is not going to be able to return the animal after it has been pronounced as shor niskal. And then Rashi continues, Aval Seifa, but the Isa Demasnisen Vadai Rabbi Yaakov he. Oh. V'lo Rabbanan diktani. Oh, shahaisa yotze lisakel omer lo harei shachal lefanecha. Oh, now Rashi's talking about the case of the Mishnah. The case of the Mishnah is in fact going according to Rabbi Yaakov, because not only does the case of the Mishnah, if you take a look back in the Mishnah can be found on 96b. probably the second page of your art scroll, because it's in the middle of the page over there. If you take a look at the Mishnah over there, says Rashi, you'll see that not only the case of the chametz is listed over there, that you could return the chametz, but you can also return the shor niskal. That's what Rashi says. And therefore, the Tana of the Mishnah is undoubtedly Rebbe Yaakov and not the Rabbanan. Even though the Rabbanan would agree to the case of the chametz, they will not agree to the case of the shor niskal. And the Mishnah lists both of those cases. Okay. Very good.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay.
Have a great day, everybody.
Take care.
All the best.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, Alan. Bye, Phil.